Super Dragon Ball Heroes Ultra God Mission Episode 9 has arrived, aired in Japan, the next episode, the newest episode of the ongoing Dragon Ball Heroes web anime, or promotional web anime. That's what this is, to promote whatever's coming out in Japan for Heroes. And every time I do these reviews, I always have to remind y'all that this is not supposed to be a full-length anime, for better or for worse. And usually it's for worse because things oftentimes, not every time, but oftentimes feel like they're rushed and nothing ever really gets a chance to breathe. But I will say, episode 8 was good. I remember saying it was good. I remember enjoying it for what it is. Compared to a regular episode of anime, crap. But for Heroes levels, for lowering the standards of Heroes, it was pretty good. Can they follow it up? The name of this episode is The Strongest versus the strongest versus the deadliest, unleashing power beyond limits. Vegito Blue versus Demigra opens up the episode, and they actually did a reference to the fight between Gohan and Vegito back in Z, where Gohan tries to go for a kick, and then Vegito blocks it, and then uses the leg to flip him down to a mountain. They did that move here as an homage, and then right after, Vegito Blue does the final Kamehameha. So, about time we see something like that here in Heroes. Demigra, however, with his dark power, survives, and that causes Vegito Blue, well, it wasn't that caused it, but the energy used, Vegito Blue defuses, and they go back to being Goku and Vegeta. So Demigra transforms again, and threatens to eradicate everyone here beyond time-space. So does that mean that if he hits them with this move, they're not just going to die, they're going to evaporate from existence like Beerus using the Hakai? Or am I overthinking that? I don't know. But Demigra gets serious here. So what Demigra does when he powers up is he is in actuality using a form of dark magic mind control. And all the villains like Chilled and the other ones they're fighting against end up getting these big power-ups, and he's ordering them to finish off all the good guys. So this whole tournament's completely out of whack now because Demigra has shown up to mess everything up. And that gives the villains carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want. So now things start to get real serious. So what happens is Demigra fires this giant purple ball of energy, this huge ball of energy, and Goku, of course, has to try to deflect it. So he goes back into Super Saiyan Blue and fires a Kamehameha to try to push the ball back. Then other people like Future Gohan, who I mentioned in the last review, or maybe it was the one before, this alternate timeline Future Gohan was teaming up with Trunks, and both of them are seeing what's going on and sensing that this is a serious issue, and as a result of that, they both power up. Gohan to go Super Saiyan, and Trunks goes Super Saiyan God. And it's interesting because the way it's shown here, I don't think people really understand the difference in power. God Trunks is so much stronger than just Future Gohan SSJ1. Way, way stronger. Goku is struggling with this ball, and Demigra starts talking trash to the Supreme Kais because they're basically saying that Demigra doesn't give a damn if he kills even his own allies, even the villains. And Demigra's counter to that is, well, aren't you guys doing something similar? Aren't you guys creating this tournament to have all the mortals fight each other, to entertain each other? And it's true. I mean, it's not quite the same thing, but they are kind of manipulating the situation to entertain themselves, or at least they were. Ios was doing that. Now we're in a situation where Demigra has very bad intentions, worse than Ios. When this whole arc started, I thought that Ios was going to be the main villain. I thought that was going to be the main pushing point of this arc, but here comes Demigra, and away we go. I did want to comment real quick on how this episode looked. I thought it was very colorful, and it reminded me a lot of how Dragon Ball Super looked because Tadayoshi Yamamuro is all over this episode. But if you're expecting like, you know, a Sheeta cut or something really explosive like that here, you're just not going to get it. You're going to get those sort of stiff plastic Yamamuro type of designs, which a lot of Dragon Ball fans do not like and they're really sick of. But he's the guy who's kind of been working on Heroes. It's his project, and thus he's not going anywhere. So we have to accept that. Even though I remember that one episode of Heroes where Goku fought Hearts and it had a Sheeta cut, and it was so awesome. Such great work by that man. Yeah, but overall the animation didn't really bug me, although there were some stiff moments here and there. So then future Gohan shows up and fires the Kamehameha for his father and for his future. Then they have this pretty awesome little scene where they have a ton of cameos. And when I say a ton, I mean a ton. We see every fighter that's involved. Paikuan, Olibu, we see Oob fighting Perfect Cell, another version of future Gohan, or actually no, it's regular Gohan, adult Gohan, and another version of GT Gohan. Oh God, it's just so many. Yamcha, Android 16, they all just appear and they're showing them watching this beam struggle, you know, watching what's going on. And it just goes to show that the thing about Dragon Ball Heroes is, and I've said this before, everything is canon. Everything. Every movie, every manga, every anime, everything is canon in Dragon Ball Heroes. And that's honestly the best thing they could do. It's like that multiverse thing that now Sony is doing with Spider-Verse and Marvel is doing with, or Disney's doing it with Marvel. And of course we also have Warner Brothers doing it with DC right now with the multiverse. This is like the hot thing right now. Dragon Ball's been doing it for quite some time, even though the comic book iterations of these stories are much older. Dragon Ball does have a very rich multiverse that doesn't get explored as much as I think it should. So everybody wants to get involved here, but Goku turns on the Kaioken. So we see Kaioken Blue give him that boost to push the ball back to Demigra. But it's still not easy. And that's because Demigra powers up and shoots it right back. And then, in what can only be described as the biggest piece of fan service possibly ever in Heroes, Bardock, I can't believe they did this, but it is pretty cool. Bardock went Super Saiyan 3 and stepped in for Kakarot and Gohan, his son and grandson, and he decided to join the fight. So, in the beam struggle. So we've got the father, grandfather, and son Kamehameha, which we've never seen before. We've never seen this before in Dragon Ball. We've seen the family Kamehameha at the end of the second Broly movie. We've seen the Turtle School Kamehameha during movie 2, The World's Strongest. Lots of different, you know, versions. The father-son. But now we have Bardock in there. What incredible fan service that was, yo. What incredible, like, this should, it's another one of those irritable things where it's like, damn, they could have done this in Super. They could have done something like this in Super, you know. Yes, it is very fan servicey, but I'm a fan. Go ahead and service me, even if I don't agree with everything. This is something that was wasted in Heroes, like many other good ideas are. So then Goku snaps and says, I'm going to use all my power, and goes into Ultra Instinct. And then he really pushes that ball back to Demigra. This sequence right here, this sequence with Goku, Gohan, and Bardock is probably one of the best sequences in all of Dragon Ball Heroes. Like, it's just, yes, it's not perfect, and the rest of the episode can't hold up, but it's definitely a moment, especially if you're a fan of those three characters. So then, as if it wasn't fan servicey enough, Bardock goes from Super Saiyan 3 to Super Saiyan 4. I want to paint this picture for y'all. We've got Ultra Instinct Goku from Super, Super Saiyan 4 Bardock using the GT transformation from Heroes, and then future Gohan from Heroes. Oh my goodness. They didn't even have to have Bardock go 4, and yet they still did it. And with that, the episode ends on a cliffhanger. Next episode is called To Rays of Hope That Erase Despair and To a Miraculous Showdown. So that we're going to get the conclusion, I'm guessing, of this little story arc, the God Mission, Ultra God Mission. But overall, this episode, not as good as the last one, but if you're a fan of Bardock and future Gohan and Goku, you're going to at least be happy they gave us that moment here, which we're never going to see in the main Dragon Ball story. Super is never going to, well, I've said never before and it's happened, but highly unlikely, how about that, that Super will give that to us. So let me know in the comments what you think about this whole thing, this complete madness, and I'll talk to y'all real soon in the next video.